that head gonna start moving around on there, whether you have studs or not, and you're gonna lose the gasket. So it's just a poor design. Whose idea it was, I don't know. We're missing a couple of bolts here around the cylinder, so we're relying on 4 fasteners per cylinder to contain all of that cylinder pressure, and it's there's where the failure is. So as far as the stud versus the bolt, people tell me the stud is better. I'm not seeing it. I'm actually seeing more repeat failures with a stud than I am with the bolts, and that's not a scientific study or anything, but that's just what I'm seeing. So I mean, I'd prefer to use the stud because I don't like that torque to yield crap. It takes too long to torque the cylinder head on. These are a lot faster to do. So I mean, really, that's where I'm at on that. I'm not, after this many years of working on these, I'm not sure if you're going to run these things hard and put a lot of fuel in them and make a lot of fire in the cylinder and a lot of boost, especially if you're going to start jacking on the fuel pulse width with the tuner and the boost. You're not going to be able to keep the head on these. I've heard of, you can O-ring the cylinder head if you can find somebody to do that, but those are still failing too because you still only have 4 bolts. So I guess the answer is to install a pyro and try to keep it under aluminum melts at 1250 degrees, and that's what the pistons are made out of. So kind of be mindful of that. Don't sustain your EGTs above 1200 degrees if you can help it. And you can help it. You can downshift, increase the velocity of air going through the engine, get that heat out of there. Or you can back out of the fuel a little bit, back off the throttle, and that'll help. But as far as keeping the heads on one of these, it's just luck. I don't know anyone that's ever done one of these that's never had a repeat failure. So for whatever reason, that's why you try to do everything, clean and flat and as proper as you can do it. But if you're thinking you're not ever going to blow a head gasket because you have studs, then you're wrong. Because I mean, if you commute in the truck and you drive it like grandma, you probably never ever have a problem with blowing a head gasket. But if you're using it, if you're pulling a trailer and foot to the wood every day, you're going to have, the results are going to be the same whether you use this bolt, which is a good bolt, or this stud, which is a good stud. So you've only got 4 of them around each cylinder, and that's where the problem is. So I'm going to finish torquing this. I need to put the other head on, get it torqued on, put the injectors in, and then what I'll do at that point, after I get the injectors in, I'll assemble the high pressure oil rail on there with the standpipes. And then I've already got oil in the crankcase. I left the glow plugs out because what I'm going to do is chuck the starter in it, and I'll throw the oil filter housing on there, put the oil filter in it, and I'll put the turbo feed tube. I'll just run it into a container. I can pour it right back into the engine, and I'll run the engine without the glow plugs in, and it'll spin over pretty good with the starter on there, and bleed everything out. And I'll actually bleed the oil rails out. There's a couple plugs in there on the high pressure oil rails that I can pull out, and I'll go ahead and bleed most of the air out of that. And that way, when I put it in, after I cycle the key to get some fuel up here and get fuel in the heads, then it'll start pretty quick, because I won't have, I won't sit there and burn the starter up trying to get it started to purge that air out. There'll be, there'll be a lot less air in there. So anyway, I'm going to do that, and after I get done bleeding it out, I'll throw the valve covers on it and probably pull the oil filter housing off, so to make it easier to put in. I'll go stick it in and finish assembling it, and put the front of the truck back together, which doesn't take much time at all. And then I'll start it and go drive it, and hopefully get it back to the customer, next week early. So Anyway, that's my theory on this crap, so have a nice day.